And we continue learning Dirshu Mishnah, moving over to Siman Kof Nun Tas as we continue learning the halachas of Netilas Yadaim. Says the Mechaber, coins the Siman, Be'ezeh Kli Noilin Yadaim. With what utensils, with what Kli I should say, you need for Netilas Yadaim, the Adam, and how you bring the water to your hands. Says the Mechaber in Sival the only way to wash your hands is with a kli. And any utensil is kosher, afilu kli, kalalim, even a utensil made out of manure is allowed to be used. Pirush says Ramah, kelim asur merevish bakar v'afar, kli avanim, stone, and kli adama, and of earth. Saril she'eh machzik revius. But the kli has to be able to hold the revius. V'niki v'koynes mashke. What does that mean? Shem yisimo yisay al mashkim yikonsu b'toichai. Derech hanekev, there's a hole in the kli that water would seep in. V'ugadal mi nekev shemashkim toich kli yitzim bai. And the kli that the water goes out, that could seep out, is larger than the kli that the water is generally poured out from. As bottom teres kli. You can't use that for Netilas Yadayim. Even if it holds a revius underneath the hole. So says the Mishnah Berurah, let's understand what's going on over here. The first halacha is that you need a kli. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Sefkat and Aleph, Tas Bechor Rabbanon al Mechatos. We learn this from Mechatos, or Kiddush Yadayim, Raglayim, Beis HaMikdash, Tebai kli. That the Kohanim, the Beis HaMikdash went to the Kiyar, which was a Kli, and because they washed their hands from a Kli, therefore we mimic such a washing, and when we are washing our hands, whether it's for bread, or for in the morning, or for tefillah, whatever the reason is, at this moment we're learning it's all equal, and it needs a Kli. Of course, as we've already learned in the past, there are different levels. We know that in the morning you lechatchila need a kli. If you don't have, you could make do without a kli. Similarly for davening. But the one time which we're going to see that there's a halacha, a obligation to have that kli, is going to be Netilas Yadayim for bread. Whatever the keli is made out of. Also a leather keli that's set aside to hold liquids. Kamam sifdalid ayin shah sifkatan gimel afilu hainu after chol elu einon chashuvin kli klal. Even though all these type of kelim are not really considered a kli linikabol as toma, says Mishnah Berurah, explains the Mechaber, this is not a din in toma. Afilu medivrei seifrim al kopanim kelim muksherim linin netilas yadayim. With regard to netilas yadayim, they are kosher. Kli adamas sefkat dalet hainu titche in nitzraf v'kivshan rak bechamo chadaime. It's made in the sun. Avok shenitzach v'kivshan nitzraf v'kivshan, when it's made in the kiln. No kli chares amusker bater lini kabal stoma. That's called kli chares. Sheimach like revius. It has to hold a revius sefkat and hey. Says the Mishnah Berurah. If it doesn't hold the revius, it's halacha number 1. You have a teeny little cup, does not hold the revius, it's not considered anything. It's not a kli. With regard to washing your hands, ayin bir halacha. Revius if got avavi, revius halog shishur be'em mechsa. Koines mashkes if got in zayin v'noisel teicha mayim v'yoyte tif achar tif. Has a hole that it drips out. But you do a shukain mashke, no, then it does hold liquids. But if the hole we said is larger, so if got to the ches, if it's a small hole that the water could drip out, but doesn't go in from that hole, then you can use the kli regularly and pour it out of the regular opening. Even if it's on the wall, even if it doesn't hold the revius under the hole, if it's a teeny little hole, the Beis Yosef is mekel. That little hole does not remove it from the status of being cleaving. And we continue with Sif Beis. The only time this kli, which has a hole, but there's also the opening at top, it's considered a kli, is if you pour it out of the hole at the top. Excuse me, that's if only if you don't pour it out of the top. Aval, however, and we turn over the page, we don't have the page in front of us. If you pour it through that hole, shari. Why is it permissible? Says it holds revius underneath that hole. So let's understand what's going on over here. Okay, we're having a little bit of issues with getting the page open in front of us. It goes between two different pages. Okay. Says Mishabur Sivkantan Yod Avalim Noit. Underneath the hole is considered a kli since it holds a revius. So if you have a hole in the side of a kli and you pour it through that hole and underneath that hole it holds a revius, that is fine. Aval, says the Mishnah Berurah, if I have a kli chares, which is set aside for liquids, if it has a hole, still chashev kulay shever kli, that hole makes it into a broken kli. You're not even allowed to use. You're not even allowed to use this kli and pour it out of that hole, even though underneath the hole it holds a revius. Why not? Because that's why, is how it's created. If nothing else, that is set aside to eat. The surely and therefore the size of it goes by food, by olives. It doesn't become tar just because it has a hole in it. You certainly could use it. Vida, says the Mishnah Berurah. Lo yeh motor derech hanekev lital rak shenekev yal kapanim gadol ksas. You need to have this hole, has to be a little bit large. Shekiluach hamayim nishbach mimenu, that the stream pours from it. B'li hafsik that I hafsik dilavachi, because if the water does not pour out straight, ya asal chatchlim shenavi kinetila chatzoin. If it only were to drip out, that would be a problem because it's only like washing in pieces. V'chozeh makom atchak aval chatchila, says Mishnah Berurah. Bivadai nachain, certainly it is proper lahader to look and try to have watch a kli shalem, a good old fashioned full kli. Kivin shemachzik ravias, we said that it causes it also ravias of katan yud aleph. Yesh be'achredu shekasu the chozeh ubenekav avul benistak, if it's cracked. If the machzik ravias lamatam it's had to give it of older ravias under the crack. Afilu rak, afilu eino rak mati mashke. Apostle, the chashuk kishever al kli aydei zegan, and in turn the fact that it's broken gives the status of a shever kli. Vatam misham de benitznak asidli sadei kulay, when something is cracked, it's eventually the whole thing going to crack. Vataz cholik olav is sayre denitznak dinik inagiv, says the Taz, no, a crack is like a hole. Vein liv salam kin yitz derech hasedek tip acher tip. It's only going to passel if it drips from the crack. Ta'oz aviki koyin is mashka. Ayim chayadun shekasav devein lo kli acher. Yuchlisach adas the Taz alko bazel. A ma'isa is marketing mekel on the Taz that you're allowed to use even this cup that has a crack in it. Vafilu das abach near the kli nechoishes. Oishar kli matachos. According to, says the Bach, if I have a kli nechoishes or other metal keli, kamay blach chayitz bezed the chazakim, they're very strong. Validation is aksas lo yitzadei kuloi. So now that we learned that the whole issue with the cracked cup is that once it's cracked, it's going to crack fully. So says the Mishnah Berurah, quoting the Bach. Let's say I have a cracked cup that's not going to crack fully. It's made out of metal or something, so it's going to hold strong. Loi gara nistak minekev, then to be no worse than having a hole. And then it will be back to the aforementioned rules, whether it holds a revius underneath the hole or not. Says the Bir Allah, a glass keli, afilu imatzedek dak ma'oid, a very thin crack, she'inu afilu kemaitei mashke, Right now, if we can't hold hot items like cold items, ain't little boy. Kasav ataz. In moyo lista manakif. Ask the Taz, writes the Taz, can I plug up the hole? Yesh Shlomo Mizah shekasav arrived at Vergidan Melchas Kelim debitit in a moil b'shum kli chemis martutin b'zefes moil kli charis tafki. You have to use tar. Chol davar shemimin oisei kli ki yoin shal matachas v'atachas o shal eitz ve'eitz v'adim mehani to plug it up with its own type. That mamish fix it and that's going to work. V'chenkos of shari tshuva v'aymash kizadu be'er alacha sham and isras adam. We're going to stop over here. Let's just take a moment to look at Dirshu Mishnah number 10, in which he points out that not every din of a kli is the same. He says regarding koshel bracha, we're going to see Kuf Pei Gimel, that if it's cracked, one should be makul lechatchila, because the din of koshel bracha, kais, shall lechatchila not be lacking anything. It's two different halachas. It's true that you both need a kli, but over there's a lechatchila that the kli should be perfectly full, whereas by us, we don't have that lechatchila. The Shartzina over there says that even if the yayin doesn't drip out, still there's a lechatchila not to use it. It shouldn't even have, as well by kushal bracha, it shouldn't have a pekam in the lip, it shouldn't have a crack, it shouldn't have a piece missing in the lip, and it shouldn't have any of the last lacking, but again, that's in the lechatchila of a kais shel bracha, and with that, we will stop over here and we'll pick it up from Sif Gimel and Mirza Hashem in the next shiur.